The conflict has reached its height and Merchant of Venice has reached the climax. Welcome, dear children, to our class of Merchant of Venice, Act 4, Scene 1. We are still in the courtroom where Shylock has been informed by Portia that he is most welcome to take a pound of flesh from Antonio at his own risk, because if he sheds a drop of blood, then he is in danger. At that, Shylock, of course, offers to give up the claim of the pound of flesh and asks for his principal. Bassanio is very eager to offer the money, and he says, "Here is the money." Of course, Shylock had asked for thrice the sum. Bassanio says, "Here is the money." Now, Portia intervenes. Portia says, "Soft, wait. The Jew shall have all justice. Soft, no haste. Do not be so quick in giving him the money. He shall have nothing but the penalty." Shylock will have nothing but the penalty, and the penalty here is a pound of flesh. At that, Gratiano is very happy and he says, "Oh Jew, an upright judge, a learned judge." Remember, it is Shylock who had called Portia an upright judge and a learned judge and Daniel, and now Gratiano imitates Shylock in a funny way, and he mocks at Shylock. Portia says, "Therefore," speaks to Shylock, "therefore prepare thee to cut off the flesh. Shed thou no blood, nor cut thou less nor more, but just a pound of flesh." Therefore, Shylock, get ready to cut only a pound of flesh, and do not shed any blood in the process. "If thou cuttest more or less than just a pound, be it so much as makes it light or heavy in the substance or the division of the 20th part of one poor scruple. Nay, if the scale do turn but in the estimation of a hair, thou diest, and all thy goods are confiscate." So here is the warning that comes to Shylock. Yes, if you take slightly more or slightly less than a pound, even if 1/20th part is more of a pound if you take, or 1/20th part less of a pound if you take, and if you drop a single drop of blood, what happens? This is the consequence. Please note, all thy goods are confiscate. Your property, goods here means property, will be taken away. Confiscated is taken away by the state of Venice. Now, Gratiano exclaims, "A second Daniel, a Daniel Jew, now infidel, I have thee on the hip." Remember, once again, let's go back to Act 1, Scene 3, where it was Shylock who wanted to catch Antonio on the hip. He said, "I want to feed fat the ancient grudge that I have against him." And now Gratiano has caught Shylock on his hip at a disadvantageous position. Now, Portia speaks to Shylock. Portia says, "Why doth the Jew pause? What are you waiting for, Shylock? Take thy forfeiture. Take the pound of flesh." Now, Shylock, has come to a bargain. Earlier he was saying, "Pay thrice the bond and let the Christian go." Now the same Shylock says, "Give me my principal and let me go." The principal is 3,000 ducats. Now, Bassanio, who is so eager to offer the money and get rid of the trouble, says, "I have it ready for thee. Here it is." Again Portia intervenes, and Portia says, "He hath refused it in open court." In the entire court, openly, he has said that he will take nothing but a pound of flesh. He shall have merely justice and his bond. All he deserves is justice and his bond. In other words, if he has to take anything, let him take a pound of flesh and nothing else. Now, Graciano says, "A Daniel, still I say a second Daniel. I thank thee, Jew, for teaching me that word." Once again, Graciano mocks at Shylock. Now, Shylock says, "Shall I not have barely my principal? Will I not even get my principal?" Portia says, "Thou shalt have nothing but forfeiture to be taken at thy peril, Jew. You will get nothing but a pound of flesh. That too you come and you take it at your own risk." Peril. Peril means risk. Risk. Okay. Now, Shylock says, "Why then? The devil give him good of it. I'll no longer stay question. I'm not going to stay here anymore." And then Portia says, perhaps Shylock is about to leave the court. And then Portia says, "Tarry, Jew." Tarry is wait, Jew. The law, this is important. "The law hath yet another hold on you." H-O-L-D, hold is accusation. A-C-C-U-S-A-T-I-O-N. The law has another accusation against you. Then what is that accusation? They might ask you. And here Portia goes on to elucidate. She says, "It is enacted in the laws of Venice, if it be proved against an alien that by direct or indirect attempts he seek the life of any citizen, the party against the which he doth contrive shall seize 1/2 his goods." Okay. So what is the other accusation against Shylock? It is written clearly in the laws of Venice that if an alien, now to you maybe today alien is a person living in another planet, but alien is a foreigner, a person who is not a natural citizen. So if an alien tries to form a conspiracy, contrive means plan to murder, plan a conspiracy against the life of any citizen, then that alien deserves a certain punishment. And what is that punishment? The alien's property, please listen carefully, the alien's property is confiscated. Yes, and after confiscating the property, after taking away the property, half the property goes to the citizen against whom the alien had been conspiring. In this case, since Shylock is an alien, half his property will go to whom? To Antonio. Okay, now the other half comes to the privy coffer of the state. So half the property goes to Antonio and the other half goes to the state of Venice. Now, and the offender's life lies in the mercy of the Duke only. The life of the alien who has committed this offense of conspiring against a citizen, his life is in danger and can be pardoned only by the Duke and by nobody else. Okay, the Duke only, against all other voice, in which predicament, in which terrible condition, I say thou standest. Today, Shylock, you are in that danger. What danger is Shylock in? He is accused of conspiring against the life of a natural citizen, Antonio, and therefore Shylock's property will be confiscated by the state. Half the property will go to Antonio and the other half comes to the state of Venice, and the life of Shylock depends upon the Duke. Means if the Duke wishes, the Duke can give him death sentence also. Now, for it appears by manifest proceeding that indirectly and directly too, thou hast contrived against the very life of the defendant. The defendant in this case is Antonio. Please remember, the offender Shylock and the defendant Antonio. And thou hast incurred the danger formerly, previously by me rehearsed. Many times I had warned you, Shylock. Of course, Portia didn't say all this. Portia just told him to have mercy or to call a surgeon so that while cutting a pound of flesh, Antonio doesn't bleed to death. Those were indirect warnings. Okay. Down therefore and beg mercy of the Duke. Kneel down and ask the Duke to have mercy on you. And then Gratiano says, beg that thou mayest have leave is permission, to hang thyself. And yet thy wealth being forfeit to the state, thou hast not left the value of a cord. Therefore thou must be hanged at the state's charge. Just pray that you at least are given a decent death by hanging, because at this moment you don't even have the money to buy a cord. A cord is a rope to commit suicide. Then Duke says, that thou shalt see the difference of our spirit. I pardon thee thy life before thou ask it. So the Duke, this is what the Duke says. The Duke says, now you will see the difference between you and me, Shylock. Even before you say sorry, even before you ask me to pardon you, I forgive you and I let you live. So here you can see that though initially the Duke seemed quite partial towards Antonio, he is actually a kind man. Okay, now, for half thy wealth, it is Antonio's. So, your life is pardoned, but your property will be confiscated. Half your property will go to Antonio. This is what the Duke says. The other half comes to the general estate, which humbleness may drive unto a fine. Okay, so your property will be confiscated. Half your property goes to Antonio, and the other half, which is due to the state treasury, may be reduced to a fine if you say sorry. That means if you say sorry, the state of Venice will not confiscate 50% of your property, but will only take a certain percentage of it. Now, Portia says, I for the state, not for Antonio. That is only for the state. Even if you say sorry to Antonio, he will not pardon you. Now, at that, Shylock says, nay, take my life and all, pardon not that. You take my house when you do take the prop that doth sustain my house. You take my life. When do you take the means whereby I live? In other words, Shylock is very eager to die. He says, no, better you give me death, because what you are doing is you are taking away from me all my wealth. And what is the point of living? Once again, this reminds us of a certain speech of Antonio in the same scene, in which he had said that fortune has been kind to him, because even after losing all his wealth, at least Antonio has the privilege of dying, because most poor men go on living even after their wealth is finished. We end our lesson here today. Thank you.